Hello, everybody. It's a big pleasure that we are starting our first episode of Basketball Coaches. Just a few words to say for you that here you can follow some of interesting topics about basketball, especially about modern basketball. My guests will be always international head coaches from different countries. You can follow our episodes always on the weekends in the evening time in Central European time, and say that you can on my official coaching page. Of are missing some of our episodes, it's not a problem. You have opportunity to do rebroadcast, and you can follow our episodes later on my YouTube channel too, where even you can see our episodes, which will be little edited. Well, welcome, Igor.
Thanks very much for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I already introduced you for our viewers, but let's say, I will say again that I would love to introduce my very good friend, Igor Petrovic, who was working before in Serbia, Greece, Ireland, with senior teams, youth teams on club level and national level too. So I think that he is bringing a big wealth of experience, and it would be interesting that you are sharing your ideas and your experience with our viewers. And just to say shortly then again, I would love to introduce our first episode of Court of Basketball Coaches. Here you will be able to follow always some interesting topics about modern basketball, and you will have some expert topics. You can follow it on my official coaching Facebook page or on the Facebook page Court of Basketball Coaches. And just a few words about me. My name is Hunor Harkai. I am from Serbia. Before I worked in several European countries and in Asia with senior teams, youth teams on club level and on national level too. So we should need to start the first episode. I'm happy that Igor, you arrived, and let's see how we agree. Our first team will be the national team of Yugoslavia, Serbia-Montenegro, and Serbia from the 90s until now. I was thinking that we can little split, and let's talk about first from the period from 1995 until 2002, what was, I think, a very gold period, because in European Championship we get gold medal in 1995 in Barcelona, 1995 in Athens, 1997 in Barcelona, 2001 in Istanbul. We were world champions in Athens in 1998 and in Indianapolis 2002. And on the Olympic Games, we get silver medal in Atlanta in 1996. So I would love to ask you how you watched these matches. How was your feeling? What you think about these teams, about these players? So I would love to speak.
Well, it's, the basketball started. The basketball for me started a little bit before that time. So I followed most of them players when I was growing up, and they were a little bit older than me, like Kukoc and Paspal and Divac. I always followed them through, and basketball is in my life since I'm 12 years of age. So that time of my life, I think I started watching the basketball as well as a spectator. I started watching it in the basketball view as a coach, as somebody that knew the basketball was going to be a big part of my life. So as you said, it was a golden era of our basketball, especially for me, because I was in Greece in that moment, Athens 95 and Athens 98. The summer, I think they were for me one of the greatest performances for me personally, and also 2002, 2001 in Turkey, that team with Pasic. This was the year the rules were changed, everything changed, and we beat everybody, I think, in average 20 points. That was a great team with Tarlac, Stojakovic, Bodirog, of course. There was some really great depth, and that Pasic continued with that team. Following year, he added the Divac. He always said, I needed Divac for the Americans, so he worked very hard to convince him to come back in 2002 in Indianapolis. And they were just the great moments, I think, on personal level as well as a coach. I think helped us a lot in our careers to come from the country they produced so many great coaches and the players.
And how you see, I am wearing the national team jersey of Greece, and you mentioned that you was in Greece in that era. Then I have a question for you. Do you agree with this? Because in Greece was working a lot Dusan Ivkovic and Željko Obradovic. Do you agree with that? That a lot of Greek coaches were learning from them, and maybe they had a very big impact that after Greece became a European champion, and they have today very quality players.
Absolutely, you can forget Dragan Šakot as well, that left the big mark in Greece, and they were really, Obradovic for 13 years and Ivkovic with Olympiacos, with the Rivers and everybody, the great team of Olympiacos, and then coming back later to win it again with Olympiacos. I think they left the great, and you can recognize Yugoslavian school of basketball when you're talking to the Greek coaches, Greek players. It's very similar. I was this summer, I was in Crete working with some underage players and watching some trainings, and you can see the same marks and same ideas in the training, in the relationship with the players, and between the coaches and the players, the idea of training. So from 80s, I think we helped a lot for the Greek basketball, and also our players from Stojakovic, Jaric, Tarlac, they all came. Paspalj in that time when I was in Greece was unreal. Rankovic. It was some great times to watching basketball, following basketball, and me being in Greece in that time. It was a great pleasure.
And you mentioned Yugoslav School of Basketball. We like in Serbia, Yugoslavia, or Serbia-Montenegro, how we are calling, that we are bringing one younger coach, and we are trying to educate them to be a very good coach. And we can say that Željko Obradovic had an assistant, Itudis, and Itudis today is a very successful EuroLeague coach.
Absolutely, and most of other coaches as well. There are lots of assistant coaches. They work with Ivkovic as well, and then you can say Milan Tomic. Even he's Serbian. I think all his coaching career was in Greece. So the first kind of out to Greece with Red Star Belgrade, and you can still see there was no big difference in his coaching style or his ideas.
Yes. So let's go now for another era. I would say another era, for example, from 2002 until 2009. When we not had just big results, even sometimes national players cancelled to play for the national team. Maybe we little lost the culture of the national team what we had before, that everybody just was waiting to play. So how you was feeling this period? Because I'm a very big fan of the national team of Serbia, and even me, I was thinking that maybe we are becoming like a smaller country. From Yugoslavia, we are now just Serbia. There are less people, there are talented people, but that maybe we will not compete in the next period for a golden medal.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it's normal to part of transition period because we come from the country of 23 million people. There was different process of selection, the national teams, and everything was much bigger, pulled to the players, and it was much harder. And the preparation for the team was, 2 months, and they had a preparation, so it was much more intense. I think the results are not only we are talented, but I think most of our coaches always want to say that it was a result of the great work. Not of the only talented. I think probably we work a lot. I probably work them more than anybody else. I remember when they asked Maljkovic one time in Jugoplastika why he think he's better, that year than Partizan and everybody else. But he said, I come in a gym 7 o'clock in the morning, and my assistants start training. If we want to reach anybody in Belgrade, we can't get anybody in the office until 10 o'clock. So I said that 3 hours, that was the difference, for our success. So I think going through the smaller pool of players and changes come to some little bit difficult decision. I think the way it wasn't a lot of changing. It was between Duško Vujošević, and we have Šakot, and we have a couple of coaches that were trying. Moka Slavrić that kind of started this new generation. He invited Teodosic and Keša, all of them younger players, and he only invited Gurovic as one of the older players to try to help them. I think that was a good start, but again, because of different reasons, he left that position. I think Dusan Ivkovic then made a great thing that he made the university selection, where he grew of these players for the future, like Bjelica, Simonovic, Stimac. They all came to that university team. They won the university game that year, and then he joined them for the national team. And I think that 2009 in Poland surprised everybody, including myself.
Yes,
I think we blew Spain in one stage. We were 30 points up.
yes,
I think I just switched off TV and switched it on to make sure that I'm not dreaming.
yes.
But I think we just found we gave back to the system we were working, and the players from there, they make big careers after that. So once that began and good results, I think the national team spirit was back again, and we also have a good leader. We were losing. I think the main answer to that question is that through them years we didn't manage to have a real leader of that generation. I think then Teodosic put himself up to be leader of that generation. That made difference, I think,
yes,
in the years to come.
I agree with you 100%. And then we are coming for the era from 2009. So now we get a national head coach, Dusan Ivkovic, and the federation said after Dusan Ivkovic was the biggest sponsor of the federation because he was leading the national team without salary. I was thinking that this was the deal before it that the federation said. And I must to say that on these 6 years, the generation changed. And Dusan Ivkovic went to the European Championship with a very young team, because I remember for the details that in that team, when we get the silver medal in Poland in 2009, that we had Nenad Krstic and Bojan Popovic, who were the most experienced players, who were only 26. All other players were younger, and the youngest player was Mačvan, who was 19. And after Ivkovic had I think a great world championship too, even if we lost the semi-final against Turkey, where were a very big stealing. Everybody can watch what happened on that match. But I think what you
FIBA did apologize for that, but
yes, yes. FIBA didn't apologize. And I think then the spirit of the national team we had again. And from that moment, I think we are on a very good way. And I would love now to speak about this period after, and when was after the national team head coach Djordjevic, because Djordjevic had very good results. But what you think about building the teams, because Djordjevic get a very good team. I think always he had a very good team. Those players were already experienced. So what you think about Djordjevic work?
Oh, it's a difficult question, I think,
yes,
to kind of be really. I think results-wise, we results-wise, except the last, I think first two competitions, the Olympics
that was perfect,
and that World Championship in Spain, I think we surprised everyone. We played really well. Kalinic came through that program as one of the really surprise packages. Bjelica Bogdanovic was already, started really showing up on the great. Teodosic was matured really as a leader.
We had leaders what we had before.
We had a good post. Sorry?
We had leaders what we not had before in the last year.
Yes, we had the leaders. Unfortunately, in two finals, in Olympics, and we came against the American teams. We were really, I think, a little bit stronger than us. And no matter, what would be, I thought the final was really showed that the difference, in the class. I think they were one level ahead of us. But I think representing Europe, I think we really showed that basketball is good. Basketball is played outside the America as well, and can be proud, of number of 16 or 17, players that represent now ex-Yugoslavia and NBA. So, but that period for Georgia was good. I think we slipped that game against Lithuania in the semifinal, and the finals against Slovenia. I think maybe we should do better. But listen, this is the life of the coach and team. Sometimes you know how they say, when you win, you know everything. When you lose, you don't know anything, and everybody's ready, especially in Serbia, to criticize and to listen. He did his job. That's what it is, and I think we move forward. And results are good. I mean, as you said, that time we speak when there was no results and there was lots of good players, but there was no results. I think we maintain some kind of level Could be better, I think, but put us back on the map and put us back on a serious basketball scene.
We are definitely back on the map, and these are always tournaments. Sometimes you can have a bad day, then you are losing, and then this is not like a league. Let's see now. Now we have a new national team coach, Igor Kokoshkov, who is the first European head coach, became in NBA in Phoenix Suns before. Let me comment his work when he was working like assistant a lot of years in NBA, and maybe the first job like the head coach position in Phoenix Suns. And yes, we have a battle between EuroLeague and FIBA, and now we can't play with the best players in the qualification. But what is your opinion about our national team, what you saw when was leading Igor Kokoshkov?
Well, I think I follow him a lot of years in his work, and he was always, saying that he is, working in NBA in America, but he is, ex-Yugoslavian school coach. But he brought what I see in Fenerbahce now, and one game that he coached with the Serbian team, he brought that different approach, a bit of calmness with him, and I think he more concentrating on his job, less intense, I think, to the players. Maybe good to some players. They relax and they play a little bit better. But also, I think as an area, we think our players are used to pressure, and I think they like coaches to be tough. Same as our audience, they watch the games. They're almost sometimes annoyed if coach doesn't get a technical foul in the game. They always quote this, like rest of Europe, they will complain about coach getting technical foul. In Serbia, they will come and say, he didn't get a technical foul in 2 games. I mean, what is he thinking? So I think maybe the change, maybe different approach, the American, organization things that they're always in that part of the game. They're good, that logistics and everything, and we'll see. I hope. I think we have a good team. I think really we are spoiled in all positions. Athletically, we can match anybody really. With I think average player maybe 6'8", height, that we can switch on everything. We are mobile. Now, question is who will play, who won't play. It's always a thing. Yes. But I think with a good team, with a full team, that we are serious contenders against anybody.
And I must say for you that I am respecting too a lot Igor Kokoshkov. First, I saw him on a coaching clinic live, and when I saw that it was a theme about pick and roll, and when he was showing some 30, 40 options how you are finishing, and then I was a young coach, I was just looking like how he's saying exactly the words, exactly everything. And how he's leading Fenerbahce, I think it will be very good. He will playing a very smart basketball. Already one set game I was writing for myself, but I loved a lot. And I was saw maybe some ideas what I saw at Željko Obradović, some kind of tricks, because I saw some kind of screening that they are faking what they want to do and they are doing opposite. So I think that he's really a mastermind coach too.
I think so. I think we'll see some different things, and that's really different when you look basketball last, I don't know, for me 20 years and more. So everything is same. Sometimes I'm surprised when I watch some national team game in 80s and I see same high-low offense or high post offense. And I remember with Pešić, once they talked with Professor Trunic, and he said that he was running the same offenses when he was on the junior team.
Yes.
But Pešić said, yes, I'm running this for 30 years. Let them prepare for me for 1 week, So that's, I think, basketball is there. There's no too many secrets. You just need, as a coach, to leave your mark and, find the creative players and the best players you can for your idea, and it's a little bit easier, I think.
Yes. I think that we was talking long about it. I would say for our viewers that they can left comments if they want to ask something while we are talking, or even they can write, let us know from which country they are coming. And we are starting our second theme. Second theme would be for us an expert theme. It will be a pick and roll offense. I will let for Igor to say everything what he thinks about this important to say, or what he is using what is his suggestion, how to teach. He was working in 3 different countries. There are some different number of trainings. What is his experience? Let's say that before, when I was a young coach, I didn't know a lot of pick and roll options. Maybe I was using 2 or 3. Now I like to use, for example, high pick and roll, inside ball screen, direct screen, flat pick and roll, hit the roll, double ball screen, some specials like rescreen, wave into the pick and roll, horns, elbow get. So, but I can say 10 times more. So I would love to say what you like, how you like to teach pick and roll, what you think, what you need to push, how to push if you have 2 trainings, 3, 4, 5, or even more, and what is your specialty, what you would love to give suggestion, especially for young coaches.
Okay. Pick and roll kind of comes to me because I said I grew up in Zadar. My grandparents lived there, and I spent the summers and winters there. And I play lots of street ball there with like Arjan Komazets. They used to play in Panathinaikos, and we always, when we were kids, when we played two and let's say let's play 2 on 2. That's how we called pick and roll in that day.
Yes.
And that's what for me was I never really liked 2 on 2. 3 on 3 was literally my thing because I thought 2 on 2, 1 on 1 is too much running, and I found myself in 3 on 3 situation like playing over the third player. So that's kind of my idea, pick and roll, that I started thinking about it, and I watched a lot, and as you said, I didn't in the beginning overdo it on pick and roll because I think it was kind of doesn't give too many credits to too many players, and like everybody else, we're doing some kind of flexes and trying to create mismatch situation and things like this. And I follow lots of Obradovic, keeping my main thing, especially when Pat Burke and came to and Batista in Panathinaikos in 2000 when they won the EuroLeague. They played lots of 2-4s, and that high pick and rolls, and then that setup for 1-3-1. That I like that putting them 2 shooters in the corner, and I always have that idea about that stretch 4. There was always an argument: is that 4 is the inside player or outside player? Because if he plays back to the basket, he's inside. If he plays face to the basket, it doesn't matter. He's still being looked as outside player. So when I started coaching in Ireland, I realized there was a lack of the position. And you couldn't really go through the flags or anything because there was no big height advantage. So after every switches, if you wouldn't create any great mismatches. So that's my kind of really obsession with pick and roll began last 13 years. And I started like everybody else with the horns and try to make situation, try to look for that 4. That was my secret always. Try to find that 4 that I can play diagonal from the post player and try to open inside, and then let them play 1-on-1 and let them take shot. Let them be the creative 4. And I think sometimes I was successful, but I was very stubborn. So sometimes even I wasn't going. I was still pushing hard for that to happen, especially in Ireland with not that many training sessions. I find it difficult, but I wasn't giving up. So mainly what I was doing training, I was breaking drills first as a 1-on-0 with the bigs, 1-on-0 with the guards, technique of leading to the screens, getting 5, setting the proper screen parallel to the line, lows, and then I was going 2-on-2, 3-on-3 different drills to get them together, and then through the training I was trying to see who is fitting in that position. And as in Ireland, it was much easier to hide the lack of position, lack of some players that are good defensively, but offensively they don't have a great input. So I found that very good. So I was persisting on that. Maybe sometimes I should change. I play lots of pick and roll on the side, mainly on the side, because there was not much isolation in Ireland. So I was finding that they were going too much over the screens, and it was easier to penetrate. Out of diamonds, out of that 1-3-1 setup from the weak side, I lose it. It's very easy for me because I found on that 1-3-1 setup that you can create many enters and many exits. So if you have a mismatch, same as Obradovic did for Diamantidis when he was posting a Diamantidis on the low post.
But you must
he
have
was
a
a
player
left-hander,
like Diamantidis.
so over the right side he could see easily. So he was throwing Batista all the time, the alley-oops and everything. It was very easy, but you need to be master like Obradovic to spot this, and then I think we can steal things and try to implement them. But main thing is to find the right people and the good point guard that is disciplined to do what you agree and try to help you instead of you have sometimes. But and the other thing in Ireland, even they play pick and roll, they never used to throwing the ball on the weak side over the third player, because thing that happened, I think, in Ireland, that lots of American coaches that came here, they didn't really have much time to train, and the kind of motion offense was one thing that was there, and then if it was a screen, it was kind of directly 1-2 pass straight to the post player, overhead pass, which was, I think passing is one problem in Ireland basketball as well. So it was very hard for me to convince the player to swing the ball on the weak side, and then to try to push the ball inside, and then from there to try to rotate the ball on the other side. So lots of sometimes did look well, sometimes it was a problem, because I think mainly or non-discipline of the players and some decisions they took because they were not accustomed to just trying to play for the team or trying to play for the specific player, rather than just everybody who get the ball, bam. So a lots of work in pick and roll. I think that's why most of the coaches here didn't try to adapt that, because the more I was getting into it, the more I was realizing how difficult and hard work that is, even in the game, or for the players doesn't look difficult, because it's a pass screen and then you play. So for them to try to explain them and break them the options and watch the videos and try to convince them that this is how it does, it's a very long process.
Yes.
But I think generally pick and roll help in the serious basketball in EuroLeague level and everything, that scouting now it's really less and less effective point guard when this, or any Lithuanian team, when they swing that pick and roll left and right, it's very difficult for you to find a good solution in defense. So I think that one way maybe some people say it's bad for European basketball to just so much pick and roll, but I think truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
Like Duško Vujošević was one coach that never really get into the pick and roll. He has always believed that low post play, created out, and
Yes.
I think that's also very good.
Yes. Just to put something about this topic, because we have another 2 themes. How I was traveling in a lot of countries, I saw, because sometimes I'm working like technical director too, to educate the coaches, how I saw a lot of times coaches saying that I like this and I am using only this. When you are planning to stay a few years in a club, my suggestion is that always to try to teach for the players a lot of options, and after you need to choose 2-3 what he is very good, because you need to make good decisions in milliseconds in basketball, and maybe that option what you are pushing on every training, maybe it will be not worth for success. So how I saw a lot of countries doing like this, I think need to prepare a player that he is thinking, because we are coaches teaching something, but the players making decisions on the court and not we, because you need to react very fast. And let's go now for our third team, let's say for Partizan Belgrade. I would have one question. What you think, what kind of impact had the day 16th April in 1992, when Partizan won the former EuroLeague against Juventud Badalona in the final? Let's say the 3-pointer for Djordjevic. Do you agree that his shot and the performance of Partizan was changing the career for those players and some other players, other coaches, and maybe future coaches who were watching that team that season?
Definitely, I think everybody always opposite this, that Djordjevic shot to change everybody's life. And it was a strange season. It was a strange year for all our lives as well. They're playing away from home I think I watched them games when they play home. I was in Pioneer Arena for them games. It was a great games. They played very well. I think it was disappointment after the last Final Four in Gant with Vujošević, with Paspalj in that team, with Divac. I thought they had bigger expectations then. So I think this came as a surprise, especially so that they played most of the games in Spain as a host, and one of the players won the lotto as well in the time, but they couldn't claim the lotto because they were not resident in Spain. So it was a lot of emotions and commotions around that. And then to come out as the youngest team, I think, ever to win the
Yes,
EuroLeague, I think 21 with the average age of the players. I think even themselves, when you're talking to them, they didn't expect really when they show up there. All the journalists, all the cameras was taking the pictures of who went to the team, and they were just didn't even notice they were there, you know.
yes,
But Professor Nikolic told them, you know, just don't worry about the offense. You're good, you're creative, you're gonna score. Just worry about defense. You know, he was convincing them all the time the defense
and he
is
said,
only
for
one thing they
Obradovic,
should worry about.
congratulations, and you will win some more EuroLeagues later.
Yeah, yes, Professor is really, I think, I'm lucky to have his note from 91, 92, some things he did, and I still, whatever there, I think I take these things with the most seriousness, and I ever thought about changing or thinking differently what he said, you know. I think, you know, it's always remembering sitting in the Partizan beer garden, and he used to smoke two kinds of cigarettes, you know, Kent and Drin, and then he was sitting, and one of the journalists came and took one cigarette out of the pack, you know. He said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well," he said, "You just destroyed my starting five for the next game." You know, he had the four normal players and then a post player. He was marking with the can because it was a golden filter. You know, it was a great mind. I think his basketball was in his mind, in his head. He was basketball. So I think Obradovic, the smartest thing is that he accepted Nikolic to be his assistant, and
That was definitely a good choice.
Vujošević refused that. So I think that was a difference, I think, in two of them careers. You know, brilliant careers, both of them, but maybe Vujošević would went even further than maybe, you know, Professor was there.
Yes, yes. And
so, but generally for our, it's changed a lot, changed to Partizan, to our club. I think this gave us something to, in these hard times and many hard times,
yes, many hard
something
times
to
in the 90s.
remember and to cherish.
Yes. So let's say after
still
it was a good generation in 1997 and 98, when was playing Jokic, Čubrilo, Haris Brkić, and other players. And now let's speak about little Vujošević. Of course, that we will remember most in Final Four when played Bo McCaleb, Roberts, and other players. But about Vujošević, I would say one thing. Okay, he get Gomelski Award in EuroLeague, but every post player who came to Partizan, that was playing at least 30 or 40% better like before. So let's say about we had Slavko Vranjec, Kosta Perovic, Milojevic, Pekovic, and I can say 10 more post players. And we had very good.
Maric, think about Maric. He never did nothing in his
never played
career
basketball.
before or after.
Or let's say Georgio Stojic, who was for me not a good player before, but in Partizan he played a very good role. And
the king.
And we had some very good import players like Paul McCaleb, Cummings, Palacio. So I think that he was building very good, and he was creating players to be better and better. But he was a mastermind that he had a system, and he found who was a good person and what is his power, and he was using it. And let's say a lot of players after Partizan, they didn't play a so big role. Let's say, for example, Lazme, that after Partizan, when he came to Maccabi, that was for me a very bad performance from him. So what you think about this view, Vujošević, that he was creating a better and better players from those players and not just had good results?
Yes, the first thing that come to my mind is that he had a great timing, and he had a great system of introducing the players slowly, and then putting them in the games, building them slowly, building their confidence, working. Everybody had a player behind them. Pekovic had Milojevic in front. Everybody, Kosta Petrovic, Krstic. It was always the line of the players, Veličković. They always line of the players that were waiting to get in.
Yes.
There was always a good system, and that's why no players worked. Katzman, Tripkovic, the probably best shooter, that we know, pure shooter. But he had a system. He built that system on the post, and they had a lots of responsibility. They had a lots of, but system was the main thing. Because everything they run was to the post. But slowly, they were getting to set that system of Partizan, that they know who jersey they're wearing and what is required to be a Partizan player. They drill to them very rigorously. And I know that Vujošević was treating the same players absolutely different. Doesn't matter if you're a star or a younger player in the team, your absolutely punishments are the same for everybody. There is no, there was no relax for anybody. And we just, this was the system and work. And I think Vladimir Jovanovic worked a lot with the post players, and then he helped a lot in that aspect as well. But they had what was the most important. They have a good experience post players. Oh, you see Milojevic as a coach. You can just imagine how good was his in training, helping them young players, to become better.
Yes.
So that was a system in Partizan that was respected for years, and Vujošević was number one. So there was no question him. There was no different opinions. There was no arguments about that or discussion. If he said this is how it is, this is how it is, and there was not too many opinions and no confusion. There was only one, and he was the boss for everything. A little bit dictatorship, but basketball is not really very sport when you can have lots of democracy. I mean, that's let's be clear. It's good everything, but you need to have clear. And he was a ultimate boss in Partizan regarding the scouting, the players. He have people that he trusts, that he gonna bring the players. It was good scouting. It was good. And luck as well, but luck must follow you, Who know that when Vesely came, that was your man that from Napredak.
Yes.
They played a great season.
He played something amazing some seasons for Partizan.
Yeah, but he got injured. Vesely came in against CSK, start play excellent defense court, and same as Joffrey Lorraine. When your man Drew Gordon got injured, Lorraine was not even in the picture. Suddenly, he was in. So it's timing. It's luck follows the people that work very hard. And if you work very honest and very hard in sport, reward is something that you're gonna come.
Yes, and
sooner or later.
Yes, and they worked really a lot hard for sure. I was watching live in Pioneer those matches, the EuroLeague matches. That was something incredible. And I think the best what said Lovren and Westerman, that they asked them when they came to play in different clubs in NBA and Europe, like how was in Partizan, and they said that we had sometimes morning trainings, and morning training Vujošević saying, okay, from that system you are running out here, you get the ball and you need to score a three-pointer, and we need to score 500 times, not 500 shots on the ring, 500 times to score. And they said like sometimes few hours we are with the assistant and we are just shooting. And that is how Partizan in that time had the budget 2 million euros, and they were beating sometimes Barcelona and Maccabi. And maybe in that time the price of Navarro was more than the budget of Partizan.
Absolutely. That game in Pierre in Arena when he changed in last second when he changed his own defense.
Yes, I remember.
And the miss when Barcelona was unbeaten that year.
Like playing man on man and changing back to zone defense.
Yes.
And they
changed. The Vujošević said, the team of if you're prepared to work that hard, you definitely won't gonna let to lose the game easy. You're not gonna let yourself cheap, And then of course there was that 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock training in the morning after them performances that he wasn't happy. So they knew if they're the best professional or the youngest team, it's the same for everybody. So it's one system, one man, and he was really just coach for this kind of area. He's not in CSK. He went, but playing with that multi-million player stars,
Yes.
They didn't really bought in all this, Then of course he bought Bobby Marjanovic. Then nobody believed that he can do anything. He brought him to CSK with him,
Yes.
and we see where he went and when his career went after this, So he has a good nose for the post players. He has plenty of experience. His criteria is very high, which is very important to have when you work selection. You don't satisfy with the average. You want your criteria to be high, and definitely his criteria was very high.
Yes, yes. Because we are a little out of time. Next time when I will talking with you another episode, then we will talk about Andrea Trinchieri and about Vlado Stjepanovic. We hope that it will be better way and it will coming better results for Partizan in the next period. And let's go now for our fourth theme. The fourth theme would be basketball and life in Ireland. I would love from you that you can tell some stories shortly, or what you think about basketball in Ireland. Let's say for some coaches to introduce little, maybe who would love there to work, or to give for them some ideas. After I will say something too, because basketball is connecting people, and I'm very happy that we became friends, and that was before one season I worked in Ireland, and even we played against each of other when you was leading Meteors and I was leading Portish Panthers. So I am bringing very good memories, but you are living a lot of years in Ireland. So let's just talk openly about what you think about lifestyle in Ireland and about basketball in
Ireland. Thanks. I'll let you one thing. You're probably the first person officially to ask me that question after coaching 20 years in Ireland. They never find this interesting that I might have to say something. But I will tell you, when I was in Serbia a couple of years ago, I met extraordinary gentleman, Borislav Cenic, that, as you know, how much he meant to our basketball and how much he did for our basketball. And I was in a coach association one day, and he said to me, "Oh, kid, come, I like to talk to you because I heard you in Ireland. And I never met anybody that coached in Ireland before. So we sit to talk, and I said, Chikabora, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, first question, how many times they train in Ireland? I said, try to be a little bit more optimistic because, respecting him and didn't really want to give them a silly answer. So I said, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times, And he just waved hand and said, recreation. And that was the hour end of our conversation. We talked many hours of different things, but the end of the conversation about basketball in Ireland was after that. So I have a nice relationship with the basketball in Ireland. Gave me a lot of nice memories. I won National Cup. I won National League. I was in the 3 Cup finals. I won some All Ireland final with the underage teams. I coach girls and boys Irish teams. I coached Dublin regional teams. Senior won 3 regional championships. I have lots of nice things and nice memories. I coached some nice teams. But as a coach coming to Ireland, you need to prepare a couple of things that you're very not familiar. The number of training, the situation of the players, the most of them work, they go to college, they can't commit sometimes even to them to training. Sometimes they're going to miss the game because they have a holidays or they have prior arrangements. So once you kind of distinguish that this is a situation you need to prepare, you have they're very talented nation, I think, for sports. I think they're very disciplined. They like in teams. I was very lucky to coach Obla Dynamos, the team that I guarantee is probably one of the toughest teams and people that I came across. And the really, defense was one thing they bought in. And, I remember you said there was some semifinal in Cork, and I remember on the beginning of the game when the players picking who they're going to mark, when one of my captains, Gina McKenna, picked the player she's going to mark. When she saw that she's going to mark, she just kind of nodded her head thinking it's going to be hell for next 40 minutes because she was probably one of the most aggressive people that I met, and she's a great defender, So, lots of positivity, lots of nice memories, Irish teams, not to go into depth of the problems of basketball and training, but in general, if you don't have a big expectation as a coach, and if you don't really put lots of pressure on the players. You can have nice results sometimes, but sometimes can be, I find, a big struggle because you're dealing with the committees. Most of the time, these committees are people that don't really have much basketball experience. They have plenty of free time to sit in the meetings and to discuss, listen, with the best of their hearts. And I think none of them sit there with ill feelings. But problem that I think personally, maybe this is not true, but basketball in Ireland is created by administrators rather than a coach. I think administrators are there to administrate, and basketball is created by coaches.
Yes, I agree.
And I think this is a mix of the solutions there. So they're going forward. They're putting lots of forward, going to try to make it better. But still, the main problem with two or three trainings a week, you're never going to get better. They have a good success on the players going overseas. They have a couple of good players, as Gary Blount and Sean Flood. They went to stateside, and a couple of girls, they play NCAA Division I, and there is a talent there. But if they just kind of, as Peshit said, everybody wants to play basketball, but not many people want to train. So I think this is a fundamental problem there as well. If this will be increased, I think Ireland will have much better results, and there will be much higher ranking in European basketball. Because they gave Pat Berg, they gave Malti Conlon, they gave Pio Man that was playing in the AEK and in the FS. We do the Ivkovic. They had a couple of good players in Europe. They have Larnaga. Majkovic bought him in Real Madrid for the playoffs as one of the best shooters. He can pick anybody who wants, but he picked Jay Larnaga, which, these people kind of never stuck around after to try to help, or maybe they didn't have a chance. I see now Pat Burke, former Panathinaikos player and NBA star, is there. He tried to help. I think it's all maybe he will be able to help a little bit and promote the game a little bit more. They have Danny Nelson that is coaching years now in Australia, New Zealand. He's in Germany now in Division 2. So they have people that try to find the look outside Ireland and try to promote and try to find the satisfaction of being a full-time basketball coach, which in Ireland, the basketball coach is not recognized as a profession. As my mother always asked me, when are you going to find the real job?
Yes.
So it's good. It's a happy place. They try, the audience, they're trying different things, but until basketball doesn't become professional sport in Ireland and with the money, I don't see any improvements in that way. But as I said, my memories are good. I won. I think nobody else. I won the national cup with the team. They only played Dublin League. They even didn't play National League. I think I'm the only first European coach in Ireland they ever coached. I think it was a couple of European coaches came after. Sasha Punoshevets, coach from Napredak Kruševac. He's, I think, still in Ireland, but he lasted in 2006. But I think, and some of my players always have a joke with me, so I'm the most trophy Serbian coach in Ireland. So I'm sure there's a few more be there. We have a couple of good players now from Belgrade and from Kragujevac, Stefan Zečević and Milan Tomic from Belgrade. They play with the AINA Super League now. I think there's one guy in Cork, and there is one Croatian post player in Kerry as well, Bogdanovic, very good 7-footer. So the market is here. Ireland is a specific place to end up. There's not much money, but it's good for American players to come here because they can build the stats, and then they can move down to Europe. Especially Americans. Now in our league, I was talking to a few agents today that said they're on the lookout for the American guards and everything. They said, because of the situation of Corona or something, the market is there for them. So Ireland as a country, it's a great life. I'm here 21 years. Basketball helped me to make lots of friends. James Weldon, one of my great fans, just went through the basketball, and Vinnie Holman in Dublin from he's a great basketball enthusiast. Jerry Farrell, John Fitzsimons, first player ever went to play abroad in France and England in '80s. Great character. in Kerry and Galway, Tom O'Malley. They're all people with a great heart and great love for basketball, something that connect us. And I think something that will keep us going forward. And, we never give up. We thought one day things will be better,
Yes, yes.
But generally, I'm happy, and it's life. And it's as Jerry Farrell said, it's a basketball life,
Yeah. It was very
Yes.
interesting this to listen. That is why I asked you. And we are, because little short of our time. I would just love to say that I agree with you that sometimes amazing that I had some talented players to import Liège, that with 2 trainings they have that quality, and maybe some of other players in other countries they have 5 or 10 trainings. So I'm bringing some very good memories too. For me was, for example, very interesting that on the matches they are putting the chairs very close, even on the sideline. What was for me sometimes like I am in a theater, not on a basketball match, but it is a very interesting the lifestyle, I think, and I would recommend too, if somebody have opportunity to live in Ireland and to work as a coach there, definitely to do it, but you need to use for it there for the mentality and for the number of the trainings. I would love to thank you for your time, Igor. I think it was very nice talking, and I already know some new topics what I would love to do with you maybe some few months later. And I would love to say for the viewers that you can check out the video on my YouTube channel. I will edit and put some videos and photos. And next weekend, in the evening time, in the Central European time, it will be a new episode with some new special guest. I would love to thank again your time, Igor, and I think we will talk soon again. Okay.
Thanks very much. I know that there's a soccer game now, and I hope we're going to enjoy it.
Soccer game I am watching too, and after I have some talking with coaches in the club where I'm working. So see you next.
Have a good evening. All the best, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
For you too. All the best. See you next time. Bye, Igor.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.